Greetings, BUSN1360 Software Apps for Business. So I want to take a moment and help you just to get started in MyITLab. Now, the first thing I need to say as part of this video is that you cannot register into MyITLab and get into our course until the first day of your term. So when your term opens and begins, then you can follow these steps. So I do just need you to wait for that, but then I want you to be ready to hit the ground running. So I'm going to change to my browser, and I happen to have the Chrome browser open, and that's one that you're going to want to get familiar with. Browsers are free. Things like Firefox, Chrome, Microsoft Edge has actually come a long way. If you're a Mac user, you may be using Safari, but here's the thing I want you to know. If you run into a problem, consider trying a different browser. Sometimes just switching to a different browser will solve the problem. Here's another thing. If you run into a little roadblock, a little technical hiccup where something's not working, if you have the ability to move to a different computer, try that. Sometimes it's just something specific about the browser or about the computer, and changing to a different device, different browser, oftentimes can solve problems. Now I'm going to go up here to the web address, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to type MyITLab. Now .com is good. Here's a little trick for you. Control Enter puts the .com on there. So I taught you a little trick. You can type MyITLab, Control Enter, and that puts the .com on, and it takes you to this page. No need to type this long web address, just MyITLab. All right? Now, this is the page you're going to come to as you get ready to use your ebook and complete your MyIT assignments. You'll sign in once you create your username and password. If you already have one, then you can go in, but you do need to connect it to our class. So click on Student. This is for new or experienced folks. Click on Student. Everybody starts by clicking on Student. Now, you need to have an email address, your instructor's course ID, and some method of payment. And for our class, I'm going to provide you with the access code because when you enrolled in our course, you were charged the bulk rate fee. So it's a good price for this access. So you already paid for it, all right? Unless you took specific actions to opt out, but it's already paid for. That information is going to be given to you and is always going to be available to you in our course in pause. All right, now what email address to use doesn't matter to me. As long as you use your first name and last name as they appear on the class roster. That's the key. So click on OK. And what I'm going to do is I've set up a demo course. So this is a copy of your course, and I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in to this course code, and I'm going to pause the video while I do that. But I'm just going to type in the course code here and click Continue. On this screen, if you have a Pearson account, and you might have one if you have previously used MyMathLab, if you've previously used MyITLab or one of the other MyLab products, then you may have a Pearson username that you want to use. Everybody, though, can safely click on Create and use, again, whatever email address you want, just as long as, let me say it again, your first name and last name align with the college roster. I'm going to pause the video, fill that in, but as I fill out this form, I'm just going to click on Create Account. So once I fill in my username information, set up my profile, then I have a payment method choice, including the 14-day free trial. But remember, you already have an access code, so you're just going to click on Access Code. Now, once again, you're going to be given that access code because you already paid, unless you specifically took steps to opt out. So a really cool thing about this is that you can select that code and copy and paste it into this box. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to pause the video. So I put my code in and I clicked on finish, and it says, great, I'm all set up, and I'm going to click on go to my course. And now I see my course, and I'm just going to simply click on it to go in. Now, here is a key tip for success. There are lots of different ways that you can view the assignments, and many of those will lead you into a filtered view of your assignment that hides a lot of information from you. So I'm going to ask you to click on course materials. This is the best way to use our course. Okay. Yes, there's assignment calendar and there's to-do list, but those to-do lists filter out the resources. And in fact, here's a trick that you may want to know for lots of other websites that you might use as well. When it says you have something to do, let's say you have multiple attempts. So, like you get your best out of 3 attempts, best score out of 3. Well, once you do it one time and maybe you fail it the first time, it goes off your to-do list because it says, well, it's done. It's an F, but it's done. Rather than saying, hey, you've got 2 more attempts or something like that, so you can go back in. So I caution you against using some of those filtered views. Just click on My Courses and go right down here to Course Materials. Now you can explore these folders. Some of them, see this one? Did you complete your pause quiz, first attendance quiz? Well, those are just reminders to you, but always use that course schedule that I give you, right? Don't forget that course schedule. Another folder that you might be interested in, some folks like to have a printed copy of the book in addition to the ebook. It is not required, it's optional. I will tell you honestly, most students, not all, but most students use the ebook. It's just something that is available there to support you that you can take advantage of if you like. What I want you to do, and for this video, let's go down here to Word Chapter 1 and notice it says ebook with required assignments. Now, here's some of the resources that would have been hidden. When it says Word Chapter 1, here's your e-text. Well, when I click this, one of the things you're going to want to be cautious about is, do you have pop-ups blocked? By default, they typically are. So when I click this, if nothing happens, then I want to look across the top and I want to look for anything red. Because if I see something red, it's a warning sign to me that something is blocked. And so I'll have to click on that red icon and tell it that I want to allow the pop-ups, okay? But for now, we're just going to go ahead and click on this, and I think I have mine already enabled. I do. And do you see how the book popped up? Now, you're going to want to be patient with this because the first time it can take a little time to load. Now, notice that this is a web browser. This is also your web browser back here. I'm going to make this full screen. This is going to give you a brief tour. I'm going to kind of click next, but I encourage you to read these things. I just don't want the video to be too long, okay? All right, so here is the cover of the book, and this book is a really big, thick book, and it has lots of stuff in it about Windows and about things that we're not even going to cover, but it might be interesting to you, like Access Database and things like that. But we are using this book for 3 different software applications: Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So you'll always be able to find those. You can click on this table of contents and see how it's like common features, lots of stuff. And here's the 4 chapters of Word that we're going to cover. Okay, see that one? It's one, but we're not covering that chapter. We are covering Word. And we're going to cover those 4 chapters. Then we're going to cover Excel and see how it starts over at 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to cover those 4 chapters of Word. Now, Access, that's not one of the softwares that we're going to cover. So we're just going to move on through. But we are going to cover PowerPoint. Okay, chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, I just want to briefly show you this book very, very quickly. Pick a chapter. How about chapter 4? I'm going to click on it. And you can see it expanded, and there's lots of things in here that I can click on. In fact, they're kind of mimicked when I'm in this chapter. It says, here's what we're going to talk about, research paper basics, and this is Word chapter 4. But as I move my mouse, do you see how all these are clickable? So if I cannot remember something, I'm like, oh, I've been asked to create a source for this, and I can't remember how to do that. Well, I can just click directly on this and go straight to that part of the book. And so I can read a little bit about it, but one of the things that you're going to like about this book, and you see there's the page number, is that it has pictures that say, okay, this is what you have to do. And it's also very much a how-to book. And this is what I mean by this. Okay, I'm going to close this. And that's going to take me back because it popped up. There's a lot of popping up new windows going on. When I look at this, Research Paper Basics, at the end of this section, which is objectives 1, 2, and 3, there's a hands-on exercise. And you'll see that. This is another section, hands-on exercise, right? Well, this is not homework for you, this hands-on exercise. This is a resource. It's kind of mislabeled. It's a resource. If I click on that, I'm going to tell you why, even though you're not going to do this hands-on exercise. Because look here at the top, MyITLab, simulator training. You're actually going to do this as part of your simulator stuff, and it's going to be repeated in what we call the grader projects. So you are doing this, you're just not doing it as a standalone exercise. You're going to get a lot more help than that. But some people like to kind of see the big picture, and what this would do is give you a video and show you from start to finish what you're going to do as you work on some of your other assignments. So you might want to spend a little time and look at that video. Here again, you have pictures. You also have how-to instructions. And look at that, even a troubleshooting tip in case you run into problems. So this is very much a how-to book. It's designed to help you, and this course is about how do I do things. And there are some best practices. Why should I do it this way instead of this other way? So great resource for you. Again, I can close this window, see that? And I'm back to the book. Now we know the book itself was in a pop-up window. So take some time to explore this book. You're going to find lots of support resources, videos, terms that you can click on, pictures that very quickly show you how to accomplish a task. But I'm done with the book for now. I'm going to close that. And this takes me back to MyITLab. Another resource that I have is audio PowerPoints, and those are cool. I totally encourage you to look at those. And now I start to see my assignments. Now for the first 4 chapters, you actually have 2 simulations that you have to complete, because you're going to learn a little bit about Windows as well as learning about Microsoft Word. But I want to tell you something about these simulations. They are kind of not real in the sense that, you know how you do a flight simulator and you're not actually in an airplane, you're using a computer program where it looks like the airplane? Well, when I look at this simulation, it's going to look like Microsoft Windows, but it is not my computer. And that's really cool because I don't even have to have a Windows computer. I just clicked on that. I don't even have to have a Windows computer to simulate Windows. This is all in my browser. Now, the first time this can load very slowly, so be very patient with this. Now, here's what I want you to understand. You might look at this right now and go, oh, she has such a pretty wallpaper on her computer. No, I don't, because this is a simulator, and this is not my computer at all. You might say, that's her recycle bin up there, even though it looked like, see how it's interacting with me? It looks like it could be my recycle bin, but it's not, because this is not my computer. This is just a simulation. It's a computer program simulating a computer, a Windows computer. Down here, this can kind of be confusing. You see this Windows button, and I've got my the recording window to make this video a little bit too short, but if it was longer, you would see that my Windows button is actually further below that, okay? So when I click on this Windows button, this is nothing that's on my computer. Okay, this is all part of the computer program, even though it looks so real, doesn't it? See, it even says MyITLab user. Now, speaking of that, this first task, it says Open File Explorer. I'm going to go ahead and do that just really quickly. These are not on my computer. And it gets a little concerning because as you go through this, it tells you to look for the annual meeting 2016 text. And you're like, I don't have that file. But the simulator does, the simulation does. So it says, if necessary, at the top of the navigation pane, click Quick Access. That's that. Navigate to the shared folders. Where is shared folders? Or shared favorites, I'm sorry, shared favorites. There it is. I clicked on that. And do you see how it was bold up here? And as I'm completing a task, it's moving through. Now it says to search. Now, if I don't know how to do this, these learning aids down here are going to help me. And I really hope that you have watched the video that I sent you on how to use a simulator, because you're going to learn, oh my goodness, this practice thing, that's the greatest. You're going to love it, okay? Because, for example, it would tell me, if I did this really quickly.
With the Shared Favorites folder displayed, click in the search box and type Annual Meeting 2016.txt.
Do you see how it's telling me? I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can. Do you see how it's, like, if I don't know how to do it, it's telling me.
In the Content pane, click the file, and then on the Search Tools.
And if I do it, it'll say, okay, you did that. So it moves on to the next step, and it's helping me. Now, it did not do my homework for me. It says, now try it yourself. So it takes me back to the problem. And now I know, oh, okay, this is how you do it. You click up here and you type the file name. And it displays. And then I click this. Remember, I'm just following the instructions that the book just gave me. Okay, now what do I do? Because I completed that step, it says navigate to the MyITLab folder on the local disk C. Well, you're saying, I don't have that folder. You don't have to because you're in the simulator, right? This is not my computer at all. That was the simulator, and I just completed the first task. Now, obviously, I have more tasks to do, and I need to finish all that, but I'm just going to save this right now, and I'm going to go ahead and click OK to close that. Notice that MyITLab is telling me that it's in progress, and I need to go back in, finish that up, get the best score possible. This works the same for the Word simulation, okay, in the sense that Word is not installed on your computer. You're using the simulator. Now, you also have a quiz. I know you know how to, take a quiz. So you're going to have a quiz that you take. And then you have the grader. Now, very briefly, this yellow notepad, these are what I call graders, okay? And I sent you a video that tells you how to do the graders. And you want to watch that video because you'll be much more efficient if you do, and you'll get better score if you do, because that video I sent you tells you how to get your immediate feedback, fix the error, upload it again, and get a better grade. Okay, so that's what it's all about. Lots of support. But by the time you, kind of look through the book, and a lot of times students look through the book as they need it, they're referencing it. So you're like doing the simulation, then you're like, oh, I have this quiz, and I don't know the answer to this. Well, you're going to want to look at the book because that's going to have the answer. And then you'll do the other. So when you get to the grader, it's a test of your knowledge, so to speak. Now, you're going to use your book, and you have that video that shows you so many steps. When you click on the grader, and I'm not going to go into detail on this because you have the other video that is by Pearson that does a great job in showing this. You download your materials. I encourage you to stay very organized, folks, because if you start forgetting, like you have 3 copies of the file, or now we're 6 chapters in and you've kind of got a lot of files, you can get overwhelmed. So to avoid getting overwhelmed, be very well organized with the materials that you download. Make sure you know where you put them. One thing I do want to touch on is you'll have the instructions to follow, and you'll have any files that you need to follow those instructions. But the files are coded to you. So when you download that file, my pretend student for this particular example was Freddie Football. And so you see Freddie Football's last name is on that file. So that's going to be the file you'll ultimately submit for grading. Okay. But let's just say my classmate sends me a file and I change the name and their last name is Smith, but I change the file name to football. The computer knows, and it will flag you as being in violation, and it basically means that you cheated. And so don't do that. Don't do that, because you need this is a work skill, and so you really do need to know this. So make sure that you're actually doing the work. Here's another thing. Let's say that you just cannot understand one part, and so your friend sends you the file and you say, I'm just going to copy this one paragraph out of that file and paste it into my file. Well, yep, that's a violation also. So don't do that. You really do have to do the work yourself. That's how we learn. That's how we learn. And if you are stuck on something, just make sure you give me time to help you. So if you're trying to do this 5 minutes before the assignment's due, yeah, you're going to be in panic mode, but because you're not learning in that situation anyway. So give yourself time to learn. This is a great work skill. All these things that we're learning are. Okay, so you're going to download your materials, follow the instructions. This is just another way to follow the instructions. Highly encourage you to watch that video that I sent that explains these grader projects in more depth. You're going to upload, choose your file so you can upload it, and then you're going to submit it for grading. You're going to almost immediately know how you did, and you're going to get detailed feedback explained in that video that I sent you so that you can get the best score possible. So all these, you're going to see it says score, you're going to see, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, because you've got lots of support. Again, watch those videos I sent. All right, so what did we learn? We learned how to create our MyITLab username. We learned that when we come into My Courses, that we should click Course Materials, because when we click on Course Materials, that takes us to the best view possible. There it is. All these different folders, and we can, maybe I go to Word Chapter 2, and again, there's my eBook. There's my audio PowerPoints. I've got those simulations, a quiz, another simulation, and then the grader. So allow time. Learning takes time. Just training for anything takes a little time. So you can do those. This is another way to navigate. And as you get through the first 4 chapters, you'll see that then we're going to have something that's called a module. Well, the module, I don't really want to call it a test. It's a big grader. Okay, it is a grader project. So what do I mean by that? I mean, when I click on it, it has 2 pieces. That's explained in the syllabus. In order to get to this second piece, which is the quiz, I have to make a 70% or above on the grader part. So when I click on that, here's what the module is. The instructions are going to be things from all 4 chapters. Okay, you can still use your book and look things up, that kind of thing. You say, oh, I can't remember how to do it. But see how it's just another grader? There's your instructions. There's the file that's uniquely coded to me. Some other things that apparently I'm going to need. But I will learn. I will have already learned how to do these steps before I get to this module assignment. But I just wanted you to know that that's as we, at the end of the 4 chapters, let me go back to Course Materials, you will have those module assignments. And that's explained in the syllabus, but this is where you see it under Course Materials, Word 1, Word 2, Word 3, Word 4, and then a module. And then you'll see, the Excel chapters, okay? And then PowerPoint. And again, a module after each one. All right, so that's what I want to talk about today. I know you are so ready to get started in this course, and I'm looking forward to it, and you are going to love MyITLab. It's very powerful, lots of resources for you. So we'll be talking to you later. Thanks, folks.